What a weekend for the Northeast Generals. They are now officially a home ice clinched playoff team. Back-to-back wins over the Maine Nordiques this weekend, culminating a 5-game winning streak, one of the hottest teams going in to the postseason. Their first return since 2024, and now the first time in franchise history that the Generals will host a playoff series starting this weekend in Maine. Welcome inside the headquarters. My name is Rory McGoran. This is the official podcast of the Northeast Generals, The Debrief, as we'll break down the two games in Maine. We will talk to workhorse goaltender, 41 games played this year, and graduating player Will Mizenko will be on the show. Player of the Week this week in the East Division as well. Congratulations to Will. And then we will look ahead at the postseason matchup as the Northeast Generals are the home team now, needed all 5 of those wins to just squeak into 4th place, and they will host the Maine Nordiques in the play-in round, the first round of the playoffs, best-of-3 series here in Canton. So a great weekend for the Northeast Generals, but also a great couple of weeks leading into this, and, evidently so, needed all 10 points to get into a tie with 68 with the Maine Nordiques. The tiebreaker, regulation wins, is what made them leapfrog over the Nordiques and into 4th place. Great weekend it was. Frustrating game on Saturday in terms of the amount of penalty minutes and just the length of the game. But overall, they're playing playoff hockey. They're playing for one another. And a really tough out, I believe, going into the postseason are the Northeast Generals. So first, though, let's take a look, of course, as we always do, at the scores from this weekend. All right, so Friday night's matchup. There you see it, a 3-2 victory for the Generals over the Maine Nordiques to start the weekend. That stretched the winning streak to a 4-game streak. The Elmira Aviators defeat the Rochester Junior Americans. This game, pretty much a moot point, wrap-up celebration for graduating players. But at this point already on Friday, Rochester was finishing in second. They were getting the bye. Elmira was already mathematically eliminated from the postseason. The New Jersey Titans will show the standings, of course, as we always do after this Friday and Saturday scores. But they pick up a 3-2 victory. And yes, it was a big one because they now finish in 3rd place. The Generals had a chance to leapfrog both New Jersey and Maine this past weekend. They only managed to get across one, but that wasn't anything due to their faults. It was just due to the New Jersey Titans picking up wins as well, 3-2 over the Mountain Kings on Friday. This game here, the Danbury Hat-Tricks, 4-1. Did they need it? Well, yes and no. Yes, because they did it themselves. No, because the game below it, Philadelphia ended up beating Johnstown 6-2 on Friday night. That loss for Johnstown made it mathematically impossible for them to catch the Danbury Hat-Tricks, although Danbury won it themselves, and that win also made it impossible for Johnstown to catch them. So kind of went both ways, but congratulations to the Danbury Hat-Tricks that are now the 6th place team. They will take on New Jersey in the opening round of the playoffs, and it is the first playoff berth in franchise history for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. A grueling season down to the last game for a lot of teams, but Danbury sneaks in. These are your scores from Friday. We'll turn it over to Saturday's scores now. Maryland bounces back 3-2. They end off their incredible season in first place in the league with a 3-2 victory over the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Of course, as we mentioned, Danbury did not need this win on Saturday. They already clinched it on Friday. Jersey, a shutout victory over the New Hampshire Mountain Kings. That win cemented their 3rd place standing and, home ice advantage taking on Danbury. Odessa and New Mexico, that was squeezed into the graphic, but Odessa 4-2 victory. The Elmira Aviators this time fall 2-0 to the Rochester Junior Americans. Philadelphia, 3-1 win over Johnstown, and at this point Johnstown was eliminated, so obviously, tough to probably go into that game. The graduating players, it's a little bit of a bittersweet game. Yes, you're wrapping up, which were great junior hockey careers, but 2 wins away from falling out of the postseason, or making the postseason, I should say. And in this game for the Generals, 4-1 win. They had to win both games against the Maine Nordiques in regulation in order to pass Maine or pass Jersey, but of course Jersey won both those games. So they had to win both games in regulation to pass the Maine Nordiques. And close games, although 4-1 doesn't look close, this game had moments where it seemed the Generals we're getting into a little scary territory, but they hold on for a 4-1 victory. So we'll just quickly go now to your standings and your playoff looks. The Maryland Black Bears, the Rochester Junior Americans, they're going to get a breather. Not playing this weekend. They're on into the East Division semifinals. You got the New Jersey Titans against the Danbury Hat-Tricks, all 3 games in New Jersey this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if necessary. And the Northeast Generals, they will host the play-in round for the first time in their franchise history in Canton at the Ice House against the Maine Nordiques, who they just played 2 times. The season series is split at 3 games. Point percentage of the season series is in favor of the Generals, who lost one of their 3 in a shootout. Meanwhile, Maine, their 3 losses all came in regulation. The Northeast Generals, as you see in the RW column, a hefty advantage, which is why, although tied with 68 points, the Generals are ahead. Regulation wins are the first tiebreaker, and the Northeast Generals surpass Maine because of that reason. But it'll be the third, 4th, and 5th game in a row, if necessary, for game number 5 between the Northeast Generals and Maine Nordiques, who wrap up the regular season and will jump back in the same building to start their postseason. Danbury Hat-Tricks mentioned playing New Jersey. Congratulations to the Danbury Hat-Tricks. And then Johnstown, New Hampshire, Elmira, and Philadelphia. Just a quick salute to all their graduating players. Obviously not what they were hoping for in terms of where they slotted and their postseason hopes, but great seasons nonetheless for the grads who will be moving on to a lot of post-secondary commitments throughout those 4 teams. So that is your playoff standings. Those are your 6 teams that are going to fight for Eastern Division supremacy and the chance to go and represent and try and capture the Robertson Cup. So we'll bring it back here into the studio now. All right, so the Northeast Generals, they clinched the home ice advantage playoff spot, finishing in 4th place in the regular season, doing so with a 5-game winning streak, needing every one of them, and these last 2 games against the Maine Nordiques, where they came into the weekend 1-3 against the Nordiques, lost the first 3 games, won the most recent one, but needing to win both games in regulation. Friday, they go out, they pick up a 3-2 victory, very close game against the Maine Nordiques. And then on Saturday, a 4-1 win, which eclipsed, I believe it was 3 hours of total runtime for the game. Yes, there was a pregame ceremony. Puck drop wasn't until, I think, 7:14, but it was after 10 p.m. when the game ended, thanks to 214, I think it was, penalty minutes combined between the 2 teams. The Generals lead the league in penalty minutes by almost 100 more now than the second-place team, the Maryland Black Bears, another one in their division. But a long, dragging game that almost had comical hints to it because of how much was being called. 8 players per team, mind you, at once in the penalty box on Saturday night. Everyone was coming down to kind of the broadcast area or the middle of the stands and taking pictures of, because you never see 16 combined players in the penalty box. It wasn't like a horrifically reffed game. It was just that there was absolutely no nonsense taken after the whistles. If there was any scrum after the whistle, both players are going to the box for 2 it's what it started with, but then it was starting to be 10s. And anything after the whistle, 10 minutes in the box, 10 minutes in the box. There was so many players for either side, key players on power play, penalty kill, all over the ice that were, didn't play for large chunks of the game because they were brought into the penalty box. But the Generals, they hang on. I want to talk about Saturday's game a little bit more because Friday seemed like they were consistently this playoff structured team meant to win that game. Saturday, they got the game's opening goal, Logan Poulin's team leading 27th of the season. And then when all these penalty issues happened, and, power play killed, but kept putting Maine back on the power play, Michael Sandruk scored a goal to get this thing back up 2-1 at the time. And then it almost seemed like the Generals needed to get out of the period. Like something bad is going to happen here. Maine is going to get momentum, and I don't know if they're going to relinquish it. However, Spencer Hirsch added the 3rd goal on the power play as well, following Owen O'Rear's power play goal to make it 2-0 at the time. And the Generals then were able to find their footing. But even though the score was 4-1 and 3-2, it seemed like 4-1 was the scarier game for more often or not throughout the 60 minutes for the Northeast Generals. But Will Mizenko picks up both wins. We'll talk to him here in a bit on the show. And the Northeast Generals, a 5-game winning streak throughout the 2 games. Defeat the Maine Nordiques, who, yes, are a rival, one of their closest opponents. But now, not knowing anything up until game 59, what an incredible year, what an incredible division for the East in the North American Hockey League, to have it go down to the last game of the regular season to not only determine seeding, which is absolutely huge, but to determine who's going to be in the playoffs, because Danbury and Johnstown were still uncertain as well of which one would take the last playoff spot. And it took 59 games to find out how everything would settle. And now you'll have rivals of the Northeast Generals and the Maine Nordiques playing here for the play-in round and a chance to go to the East semifinals. So let's take a look now at the highlights from all games, Friday and Saturday. To his left, Hudloff can't enter. Back the other way, a blue line stop and a 2-on-1, shorthanded again, in front, chance, scores! Shorthanded goal against the General. Moyer, Shishbekov, Rusarito and Moyer, a nice 2-man side-by-side hit. And poked in front of the net. Rusarito backdoor. What a play! Scores! Cody Moyer. Spot. Left wing, left shot. Usually picks up over the opposite side. Here's Michael Sandruk. Shot, scores! Rusarito to Vinny Ipri into the attacking zone. Ipri drops. Gibbons now set right back up for the Generals. Moyer shakes around one. Cody Moyer drags, shoots, he scores! Well, there's Savalio on Gasperko. Puck now, as it's falling down, is Perrant. A 2-on-1, shorthanded. Hudloff, Barkowski, shot, he scores! The Gens and right at the perfect time was Cody Moyer. Right back into the corner. Moyer looking for an option. Toe drag around. Lukey now in front. Pulled it backhand, scores! He's got plenty of power play points. He'll go back up for Rutherford. O'Rear works off the boards. Gets around Santiago. Drops for Kelly. Back to O'Rear. Jams it in front and scores! And the penalty box! Shots on goal 18-13 only, actually. They might add them after the periods. They've got so many penalties to add. Shot, scores by Sandruk. A power play. Hudloff, a clean face-off win. Hirsch up top, McKenna. Now left side, Hudloff. Hirsch, skate, stick, over here, shot, stopped by Wood. Hirsch scores! Oh. Rusarito wins the draw. Moyer shot, stopped by Fierstead. Rusarito in front, he scores! So yeah, there are your highlights from Friday and Saturday night's game. A 3-2 win on Friday, 4-1 win on Saturday, and a 5-game winning streak heading in to the postseason. And, the Northeast Generals, they're finding a little bit of different ways to win, it seems, each and every night. We talked last week on the podcast when they were trailing going into the third period against Elmira. It was only their third win when trailing going into the third period. So now on Friday, they're trailing going into the second period against the Maine Nordiques. Not a great record in that department as well. 6-12 in that record, picking up their 7th win of the season. So a little adversity. Then the second period on Friday and on Saturday too, but especially on Friday, scored all 3 goals in their second period. It's been their best period all year, where they're plus 19, I think, in the second period, and they're plus 20 in terms of their goal differential overall throughout the year. So they're minus in the third, they're a little bit plus in the first, but really heavy plus in the second, which says something, to the players, to the coaches, making the adjustments after the first period, and, or either finding their legs, knowing what went wrong and making corrections to make the second period, their best throughout the year. But then on Saturday's game, had a lead, made it 2-0 on the power play, thought that it was going to get pressure-filled and Maine was going to cut back, and then took that away from the Maine Nordiques. So just different ways to find victories is big going into the postseason. 5 wins in a row is big going into the postseason. Home ice advantage is big going into the postseason. And the Generals on this wild 59-game schedule that has seen injuries, just like every team, ups and downs as well, just like every team, but, navigating it in a way to not be slumping going into the postseason is, I think, huge for this team that are now getting a little bit back closer to full health. Obviously, Finn Connor made his return on graduating night on Saturday, and he looked very effective. Still had that speed and jump in his step. Thought maybe it was a nod to a graduating player just getting a chance to get dressed on that night. Also, it was his 100th career game played as a general. But no, Brian Erickson said if he's in, he's going to play. I would never put a player in that, is just for formality. And he played a good amount, and he looked good doing it. So, injuries are getting a little bit better for the Generals coming into the postseason, but the play on the ice is definitely, throughout 60 minutes, has looked the most complete 60 minutes that we've seen. I think going back all season, maybe a little bit in October when they were on a 10-game point streak, but this is as good as you can probably hope for the Generals in terms of their game as they take it to the weekend against Maine. And a big reason for that as well is the reigning Eastern Division Player of the Week in the Generals goaltender Will Mizenko, who now will join us on the debrief. All right, Rory McGoran back here on the debrief, and now very pleased to welcome in the workhorse, goaltender of the Northeast Generals, Will Mizenko. Will, thanks so much for joining us. How's your day going? How was practice today?
Of course, of course. Thanks for having me on. It's been good. Normal Tuesday, so getting back to work here. So, yep.
Well, 2 weekends ago, the Northeast Generals sweep the Elmira Aviators to clinch a playoff spot. Only one scenario remained that guaranteed them a home ice advantage spot, and that was to sweep the Maine Nordiques both games in regulation. You guys went out and did that. And now I just want to ask, how good did that feel, and just your thoughts on those two games?
Yeah, like we knew going into it would be tough, but we also knew we controlled our own destiny. So I feel like it kind of inspired a lot of guys. Like, Maine's a tough team, but we knew what we needed to do to beat them, and we showed that, and we built a lot of momentum going into this series. So yeah, it was great.
And just, from the net out, looking at the game, what kind of perspective do you feel that the team had this weekend, but also has in terms of just how you guys are playing right now, 5-game winning streak going into the postseason?
Yeah, I would say the biggest notice I've seen is like we just have everyone's back. Like we're just such a tight group that if we see one guy get hit, someone's responding, and I think that's huge because it sends a message we're not going to get pushed around. And it makes every game kind of like a dogfight. And a lot of teams they don't want to do that, and it's tough. Like and say like physically, it's really tough. I don't get hit a lot, obviously, but I know hearing from other guys, it's not fun when you get hit every time you touch the puck. So that's a big part of our success and just kind of just trusting our identity. We know it works. It's game 60, so just trusting it. So yeah.
And you're one of the graduating players, right? So, kind of a two-part question. I'll start with, the graduating player ceremony and that last regular season game. Did you soak it in, right? Like, did you feel that it was something a little bit special playing that game 59, being, your final year of junior hockey?
Yeah, for sure. Like it makes you think about where I was 3 years ago when I started. Like I didn't know if I would get to this point, right? So yeah, it was cool to have my mom out there, like people close to me, seeing other guys go out there for it is really cool. So
And what is it like as a goaltender? I mean, I tell you what, as a broadcaster at first, with the way the game went, and we talked about it earlier in the show, like 217 penalty minutes. It was a 3-hour game,
yeah.
right? And by the third period, when it still wasn't stopping, I was like, okay, like this is now getting kind of comical, right? Like
Yeah.
let's get this moving. As a goaltender, how was that? Are you just trying to stay locked in? Do you lose yourself in this madness at
Yeah.
times, or?
Like you said, it's pretty funny, honestly, especially when you're not the one in scrums, right? So yeah, it is like, yeah, you have to stay locked in, but at the same time, what psychopath can stay locked in for 3 hours? It's kind of like almost like golf, almost. If you play golf, you can't be locked in when you're walking to your ball, right? You just
Yeah.
gotta be dialed in for the play. And that's when, I feel like I've learned a lot this year. Like I can't expend energy being dialed in during TV timeout. So yeah, you kind of have to laugh a little bit when it gets that crazy. But yeah,
Do you like the matchup with Maine, right? They won the first 3 games of the
yeah,
series. You guys have won the last three games and, have looked like the stronger team, the more playoff ready team, especially down the stretch. What do you feel about that series that's going to be at home in Canton this weekend?
Yeah, I'm just really confident. Like you said, like earlier in the year, we lost some guys. We were struggling a little bit when we played them the first time, but I feel like we're just a completely different team now, and we're hitting our stride again. And hockey's a big game of momentum, and I feel like we really have that now going on this 5 game heater, and everyone's bought in, and everyone's ready to make a deep run here. So
When I watch you play, I'm almost blown away because it seems like you're never in a panic mode, but not even in a panic mode. It's that your heart rate is never elevated. You're just calm and move. And I want to ask, like, do you get moments in the game where you feel your heart rate getting up, or is this something that you've worked on where you can just
yeah.
it's literally, blinders on and you don't feel that, heart rate and nerves get elevated?
Yeah, like I would say it's something I've really worked on hard. Like I've got a mental coach over the years. Like it's something I've really, really tried hard on. Like I'm human, I still get nervous sometimes, right? But yeah, it's something I definitely, makes it a lot easier for me staying calm because I'm a positional goalie. Like when I'm scrambling around, it's never good, right? So like, yeah, like that's something I've always been good at, but really just trying to, work on it this year. I feel like I've gotten really good at it. And, it also gives your teammates, a sense of confidence if they see their goalie making every save look easy. I mean, you have
Yeah.
a lot of confidence in that guy. So, yeah.
Okay, so what's happening then? Say, like, a shot comes from the point, it's tipped 4 feet in front of you. You make the
Yeah.
save. Then there's a rebound. You got to move that way. Another rebound, a scrum in front, and finally you cover it. By the time the mess clears, are you like, oh, like, or is it, is it like, what's going through your head?
Yeah, honestly, this is why I'm a goalie. You'd be a little weird, but I'm having so much fun during it. Like it's the best, honestly. Like scrambles, like I love it. You don't really think. It's kind of like when you're in the zone. You don't think, you kind of just do. And like you said, how's practice? That's what we work on, right? Like stuff. I could see a million things in practice, and it gets me ready for the game. And it's just yeah, like catching your breath. Maybe tap the guy in the butt who on the other team is in front of me and be like, good try, maybe next time, it's just yeah, you just have fun with it. That's kind of my look at it.
I
So
mean, it's awesome to watch because it just seems that that is a resting heart rate throughout 60 minutes, which is obviously a compliment towards you. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is going to be your first, appearance in the playoffs in junior hockey.
yep.
All right, what does that mean to you?
I think it's, I've been waiting to do this my whole career and, seeing last year, like, yeah, I wanted to get in there and I didn't, but, I was behind another good goalie and, I'm just really ready to take advantage of it. It's my time to kind of prove to everyone I should have been in earlier or whatever. But yeah, I'm just really excited and ready to make a run with this team.
Um, and how, I mean, you've played 41 starts, I think, this season, right? So that's a new career high by a
Yep.
long shot. Keeping your body prepared. And how is it feeling, going
Yeah.
into this weekend's games?
Like it's kind of the past couple summers, like I really once I got my first taste of junior hockey, I'm like, whoa, this is not like prep school where we play 25 games. So, you know, um, yeah, just I guess really working hard. Over the last couple summers, like I work out 6 times a week. I'm in the gym a lot. I'm getting my body ready. Even this year, like putting the extra work in so that I'm able to feel great in April, May. Like you said, like body's feeling great. I feel like I can play 2 more months. So yeah,
Well, I mean, I
yep,
hope you do.
yeah,
And it was funny because after Saturday's win, two hard-fought wins, a 3-hour game, you pop into the coach's office and you're like, "Can we do goalie work on Monday?" And Monday was supposed to be optional anyway. So I mean, this guy,
yeah,
I was like, "This guy's crazy. Like, take a day off, man." Like,
yeah, yeah. No, I can't. I can't. It's not
I
in my
appreciate. I
DNA.
mean, I can see it.
Yeah,
It's what makes you great. And also just named Player of the Week, right? For the first time this season, means something to you, right? Getting that
yeah,
nod for the final weekend.
yeah, for sure. Like you said, momentum, like that's huge, and like it's nice to get accolades, but kind of just knowing that I'm where I'm at, where I need to be to help this team win, and it's nice to get recognized. So yeah,
100%. Okay, I just got two quick ones for you then
yeah.
before we wrap it up. Do you have a favorite save from this season? Like one that sticks out to you?
Let me think. I mean, one of the more memorable ones is when we were like losing 5-1 to Rochester, and it sucks because we lost, but let me think. Anytime you make a glove save, it just feels amazing. Like I made like a breakaway save against Maine. I made a nice glove. Like
Just
glove
this
saves are the
weekend.
best because you just windmill it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's way cooler. So so yeah, I would say any glove save like that has been one of my favorites. So yeah.
Your first shutout of the season, you flipped the net down on its front after the game.
Yeah.
Something you've done before? Was it pre-planned, maybe with 5 minutes left, or was it spur of the
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah, it was definitely planned. I've been it's been in the works for a little too long. I was relieved to finally get one. But yeah, it's just I've seen some people do it. I thought it looked cool, so I wanted to do it. So yeah.
Did you have like regrets afterwards? Because you have two more shutouts
Oh.
since then. You didn't do it again.
Yeah, see, I got made fun of by a lot of people. I was in like family group chats, like,
Oh.
wow, you didn't execute that too well. So I was like, yeah. I was telling the boys like I'd way rather win a shootout instead of a shutout because at least it looks cooler when I celebrate. So
Yeah, you get the skate off, fist pump,
yeah, yeah,
especially when
yeah,
you're the last save too.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Last one. Hardest player to stop in practice on the Generals, obviously.
Okay, yeah, it depends on the day, if I'm being honest. Like sometimes on Monday morning goalie skate, Cody Moyer is a real thorn in my side. But I would say Poulin's, it's just weird. His release is just, it's nothing like anyone on the team. It's really like any of the guys. Like it depends on the day, right? Someone heats up, has 5 goals, and I don't hear the end of it. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say Poulin or Moyer though. So
Awesome. I mean, what a season, man. Congratulations, first of all. I know the
thank
work's
you,
not
thank
done,
you,
but just want to give you some praise because a heck of a way to finish your junior career. And best of luck this weekend in the postseason. You're going.
thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right, a big thanks to Will Mizenko for joining us on the debrief this week. What a season for him, one of the graduating players, one of 12 graduating players for the Northeast Generals. 22 wins on the season for Will Mizenko. He's third in the league in minutes played, third in the league in shots faced, top 10 in wins, top 10 in save percentage. Just a workhorse. I did the same thing in the interview. A workhorse goaltender for the Gens who will 100% get the rock coming on Friday and on Saturday, potentially Sunday as well. That's a lot of games for one goaltender. Maybe Keegan Wilson mixes in there, but nonetheless, a great season for Will Mizenko in his graduating year. Great season for the Generals overall. I mean, just a couple of stats to run off as we wrap up the show. Yes, fourth place. Yes, home ice advantage. But the best penalty kill in the league and in the East Division, obviously. First place power play in the East Division. Most penalty minutes in the East Division. Most shorthanded goals in the East Division. Most times shorthanded in the East Division. Third place in goals for in the East Division. Third place in goal differential in the East Division. Top 5 in goals against. It is, it's a team that it's going to be reckoned with against a very hard opponent in the Maine Nordiques. But, obviously the argument is, rest over rust. If the Generals do get through this round and then go into the Eastern semifinals, a lot of things could happen. Don't know if it'll be Rochester or Maryland, but, having a couple more games already on a 5-game winning streak, does that give them just a little bit of an, not advantage, but help towards dethroning and upsetting one of the league's top 2 teams? Before we wrap up the show, let's just take a look at your scoring leaders for the team, for the Northeast Generals. So Cody Moyer is going to get crowned the scoring leader for the Generals. Logan Poulin is going to be your goal scoring leader and rookie scoring leader. And Vinny Ipri with 40 points is going to be your defensive scoring leader. But, just incredible seasons. Like Braden Hudloff, a rookie, 47 points in 57 games. Alec Hall, another second-year junior player, but first-year general, 4th place on the team in scoring. This is the top 10. Moyer, Poulin, Hudloff, Hall, Ipri, O'Rear are all able to return next year. So your top 6 scorers are all able to return. The 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, those are all graduating players who will be moving on to post-secondary hockey and education. But, I mean, the year is bright, but also the future is bright for the Northeast Generals. Their top 6 scorers can all come back next season. And then here, these are your games. So get down to the Canton Ice House Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if necessary Sunday, April 10th and 11th, Canton Ice House, games 1 and 2, 7 p.m., both games. Northeast Generals, first time, historic, hosting the play-in round in their franchise existence. So that is going to do it for us here on the Debrief, as we'll bring it back into the headquarters one last time. Thank you again for watching throughout the regular season since we started the show up until now. 59 games have come and done. We obviously will, win or lose, have another episode next week to either set up the Eastern semifinals or wrap up the season. But once again, 59 games, and regardless if you've played 12 of them or if you played 200 of them throughout your career, just a salute to the graduating players, as the Generals did on the ice prior to Saturday's game, and we'll do here on the Debrief as well. Thank you so much for watching. You have been informed. This is the Debrief.